Iran is in absolute turmoil. The economy is completely ruined thanks to incompetent leaders and corrupt ministers. The people are violently revolting in the provinces, and to make matters worse, multiple foreign superpowers are invading the country from all sides to carve it up and take all of its oil? Wait a sec, I think I'm in the wrong century. There was no oil in the early 18th century. Welcome to the Roaring 20s. 1720s of course. The mighty Safavid dynasty, which has ruled Iran for over 2 centuries, was actively folding like a rug. The state was paralyzed by a fiscal crisis, and a rebellious group of Hotaki Afghan managed to win a 1v5 match, marched right into the capital, and swept the head beneath the Shah's crown to their own head. The Russian and the Ottoman Empire saw this and said, "It's free real estate." The country was a complete and utter dumpster fire. So, who do you call to fix an apocalyptic national disaster? You don't call Superman. You call a nobody? Enter Nader Qoli, born in 1698 in the remote mountains of Khorasan. His father wasn't any king or a noble. He was just a nomadic herdsman who literally gathered firewood to survive. Legend has it that when Nader was 17, his village was raided by Uzbeks and he was carried off into slavery. His mother died in captivity, but Nader managed to escape, eventually finding work as a lowly musketeer. Fast forward to the fall of the Safavid Empire. Amidst this national dumpster fire, Nader managed to level up, forming his own small warband of a couple of thousand men. He then pulls a classic Xiao Xiao move. He takes in a stray runaway Safavid prince, Tahmasp II, and begins operating under the royal Safavid banner. Nader was an absolute military genius. He completely reformed the Iranian army, combining disciplined infantry musketeers with heavy artillery, essentially bringing guns to a sword fight. He crushed the Afghans at the Battle of Damkan in 1729, chased them out of the capital and put his stray prince back on the throne. With the capital secured, Nader went off to the east to crush some more rebellions. But while he was away, his boss, the Shah, got a little jealous of all this glory. Tahmasp basically thought this looked easy enough and marched off to fight the mighty Ottoman Empire. He lost spectacularly and also a massive chunk of territory. When Nader heard about this, he was absolutely fuming. He marched back to the capital for a performance review. Nader rejected the peace deal, invited his boss to a party, and got him completely out of his mind drunk. He then paraded his wasted boss around, asking if anybody thought this guy was fit to be everyone's boss. Getting quite a unanimous vote, Tahmasp was forced to abdicate the throne to his 8-month-old baby, with Nader as the regent. As the new regent, Nader decided to fix Tahmasp's base by marching straight into the Ottoman Iraq and laying siege to Baghdad. The Ottomans sent their base general, Topal Osman Pasha, to deal with him. Nader divided his forces to fight Topal, which was a massive mistake. Topal brilliantly blocked Nader's army away from the river. His troops crumbled under dehydration, and Nader suffered his first and literally only defeat in his entire career. He went from commanding 100,000 men to barely 15,000, leaving tens of thousands dead on the ground and his shiny cannons in the dirt. Now, a normal person would just return home to cry about it. Not Nader, he just get angrier. He emptied his entire royal bank account, speed ran building a brand new army with new cannons in less than 2 months, and returned to Iraq for round 2. Nader absolutely crushed Topal's army and killed the Ottoman general, because nobody hands Nader Shah an L and lives to tell about it. By 1736, after beating up the Ottomans some more and making the Russians pack their bag, Nader decided the whole region act was getting old. He summoned a massive Kurutai on the Mukan plain, bringing together tens of thousands of nobles, clerics, and military leaders. Like a tsundere he is, he proclaimed that he has done enough. He's tired and is going to retire. He asked, "Anybody here gonna beg me to stay as the Shah?" Shockingly, everyone enthusiastically begged him to take the throne. Well, if that's what everyone wants. He was now officially Nader Shah of Shah. Now that Nader was officially the Shah, he decided that ruling just Iran wasn't enough. He wanted to conquer the entire Islamic world. But there was a tiny bug in his plan. Iran was mostly Shia Muslim, where all the neighbors he wanted to conquer were Sunni. So Nader looked at this and thinks, you know what? Islam has too many branches fighting each other. Let's invent a new universal standard branch so the Shia subjects can get along with everyone else. Congratulations! Now there are 5 competing standards. He ended up with a new branch of Sunni that the Ottomans completely rejected anyway. Now with the religion issues dealt with, Nader eyed the Eastern Muslim kingdom, the incredibly wealthy but declining Mughal Empire in India. In 1738, Nader marched his army into India with the excuse of, "I'm just looking for the Afghan fugitive, definitely in your country. Don't mind me violating your sovereignty." The Mughals tried to block the main road, so Nader just took a secret path to the snowy mountains that Osha would definitely not approve of and outflanked them. The Mughals then brought a massive army of up to 300,000 men, complete with heavily armored war elephants, to the Battle of Karnal. Nader has about 55,000 men, but remember, Nader brought guns to an elephant fight. Nader entered the capital of Delhi as a conqueror. After brutally putting down a local riot, he decided to humiliate the defeated Mughal Emperor Muhammad Shah with a re-coronation ceremony, placing the crown back on the emperor's head as his big bro. He also took so many souvenirs from Delhi that he needed 700 elephants, 4,000 camels, and 12,000 horses just to carry them back home. The loot was so incredibly massive that he officially suspended all taxation in Iran for 3 whole years. Returning home as the richest man on earth, he gave himself the fancy new title of Shahanshah, or King of Kings. Because simply being a regular Shah isn't enough when you just crown the emperor of the richest kingdom in the world and made the Central Asian Khanates of Bukhara and Khivar shivers in fear as they submit to you as your junior Shah. But from there, everything went downhill. Nader's health began to fail and his temper became monstrous. In 1741, an assassin took a shot at him in the forest. Driven by extreme paranoia, he blamed his own elder son and heir, Nader Qoli. He ordered Nader's eyes to be served on a platter before regretting it a little too late. Nader completely lost his mind. Remember that glorious 3 years tax holiday? Cancelled. He squeezed the population dry to fund his endless wars. Rebellions erupted all across the empire, and Nader suppressed them with a cartoonish villainy. He would build towers out of rebel skulls as a warning. He went from the savior of his nation to its absolute biggest nightmare. By 1747, everyone was completely terrified of him, especially his own inner circle. His paranoia made him turn against his personal guards. Not like that ever ends badly. Oh yeah, his guard chopped his head off on June 20th, 1747, imploding his empire into a Nadalian pieces overnight and rendering Iran unable to become a major world power ever again.